Hi, welcome to Composer's Voice. My name is Robert Voisey. I am the director of Composer's Voice. And today we have a really special project that I've been doing with this baritone, Andrew White. It's called Collaboration and Accompaniment. And the goal of this online event is to foster and broaden the art song genre, creating an opportunity for composers to express their voice um, or musical ideas, as well as explore and experiment accompaniment through uh, the digital video medium. Um, we're working with Andrew White. He is a fabulous baritone out in um, Nebraska. Ken Smith of New York Concert Review hailed Andrew White as a formidable interpreter. Every song composer should be so lucky with collaborators. Dr. Andrew White currently serves on the voice faculty of the University of Nebraska at Kearney. He holds a bachelor's and master's degree as well as an Artist Diploma and Doctorate from the Cleveland Institute of Music, Case Western Reserve University. And with that said, our first work that we are going to do is The Future by Ed Martin. Let me see. Let's bring up Ed. Hey, Ed, how are you?
Hey, Rob, how's it going?
Well, it's going well. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Ed, and this piece that Andy's going to be singing?
Sure. I'm Ed Martin. I'm a composer. I live in Neenah, Wisconsin. And just first of all, thank you, Rob and Andy, for inviting me to be a part of this project. I'm really looking forward to the performance, and I appreciate it. The piece that you're going to hear today is called The Future. And for this piece, what I did was chose a set of early 20th century texts that predict what life will be like in the 21st century. And I found these from a variety of sources, from interviews, from some newspaper articles or journals. And the thing that these texts have in common is that to a large degree, they're totally wrong. The predictions are like just incorrect. So I found that to be pretty fun to work with when I was setting the music. So you're going to hear three songs. The first is Steel. And Steel, the text was found from an interview with Thomas Edison back in the early 20th century. And he was predicting that all of home furnishings in the 21st century would be made out of steel. So you'll hear his vision for the 21st century home. The second one is called The Newspaper. And this text comes from the editor of the Boston Globe, I believe, a Boston newspaper, I think the Boston Globe at the time, who was predicting that newspapers would be in existence forever. And this one's kind of interesting. You'll hear, if you listen closely, he predicts a little bit of something that's similar to a smartphone. So if you listen closely for that text, there's maybe a bit of truth to it. And then the last one you'll hear is Coffee and Tea. And this comes from the scientist, Nikola Tesla. And I found an interview of him, not really talking about science at all, but he was kind of going on a rant a bit about how coffee and tea would no longer be used in the 21st century. So you'll hear these three texts, all predicting the future, but all kind of a bit or a lot wrong. So that's a bit about the piece, and I'm really looking forward to the performance. Thank you.
I just would like to add to what Ed just said that the original singer of this piece was a man by the name of Nathan Kruger, and there are places where his voice is worked into the track, and so times when you hear a voice in the track, that's his voice, and there's a difference. I think he had a beautiful voice. Anyhow, I guess we'll just get started here. Hopes of the next century will be furnished with century will be rocked in a cradle of his father will sit in a chair at the dining room table made of steel, and his mother's room overflowing with furnishings so light, so bright, so sumptuous, so of the next century will be furnished from floor to is on the earth to stay. What it will be, no one can newspaper is on the earth to stay. What it will be, no one can say. You should not be pessimistic about its future. No radio phone won't take its printed word that can be read, that can be digested, will always be is of the earth to stay. And what it will be, no one can say. But this you may swear by. It will be just what the I am convinced. 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 I am convinced that coffee. I am convinced. I am convinced, I am convinced, I am convinced that coffee. I am convinced, I am convinced, I am convinced, within a century that coffee. I am convinced that coffee and tea. I am convinced within a century that coffee and tea. I am convinced that coffee and I am convinced within a century coffee and tea. I am convinced coffee and tea and other stimulants. I am convinced I am century. I am convinced. I am convinced. Coffee and all other poisons. I am convinced. Coffee and all other stimulants within a century. Other stimulants and poisons. Coffee and tea within a century. I am convinced. I am convinced. I am convinced. I am convinced. They will no longer be in the vogue. No longer fashionable, obsolete. However, I am convinced that alcohol will still be used.
Fabulous. Awesome. And our next composer that we have coming up is Ronen Shai. Hey, whoop. Hey, Ronen, how's it going?
Good, how are you? Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you for being a part of this. It's awesome to have you. Ronen, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and a little bit about this piece.
Mm-hmm. First of all, thank you, Ed. What a wonderful piece. Thank you, Andrew and Robert, for this opportunity. I wrote this piece, this song, especially for this occasion, to words by my mother, who is a poet. My name is Ronen Shai. I live in Brooklyn, New York, a composer, born in Israel. And I wrote this song with lyrics by my mother, who is a poet. She writes in Hebrew. This specific song, she made a translation into English. The song, the lyrics are about fire, a person sitting in front of fire and having a kind of an inner world experience of observing the awe of something. The fire is symbolizing something beyond, and also a therapeutic effect of the fire that gives some healing to inner struggles and pains. The music depicts the fire in a few ways, like there's an arpeggio with high notes, as if like the shape of the fire and the sparks. And also the melody is kind of like in somewhat Eastern melody, also going in twists and turns. Sorry. But the music also has some coldness in it. It sounds like distant, alien, and cold. Also showing like we're in a different realm, not talking about fire in a simple sense. And I drew some inspiration from one of my favorite musicians, Gerald Donald, who is one of the shapers of the genre called electro. You can see there's a constant bass line, almost constant, and the arpeggios as the signifiers of the harmony. And the elements are very repetitive and do not change on purpose.
That sounds awesome.
Okay, thank you.
I love that. And yeah, let's bring on Andy.
Sitting by the burning fire, watching the flames soaring one upon the other, joyfully high above. I feel the warm heat pouring, pure, attentive river in my veins, melting the blocks of pain, of anxiety, of missing out life, painting my longing, my endless yearning. Soft red light, inflaming a spark which never dies down in my ever-woven dream. Sitting by the burning fire, watching the flames soaring one upon the other, joyfully river. My veins melting the blocks of pain, of anxiety, of missing out life, painting my longing, my endless yearning to soft red light, inflaming a spark which never dies down in my ever
Fabulous. Great piece, Ronen. So our next work that we're going to have is by is Paternoster by Burt Goldstein. We don't have him backstage today, but I did see him online. And hopefully we'll get some more comments from him. I think Andy has something to say about this piece.
Yes,
Andy, you want to say something quick about this piece?
Yeah, I can give you Goldstein's bio and his program notes that were submitted. Burt Goldstein is active as a composer and is taught at the college and university levels. Awards include the American Prize of 2014. Vox Nova selected 3 works in 2014. International Prize, Borromeo Prize, Brandenburg Chamber Music Prize, Copeland Award, Lee Etelson Award, a commission sponsored by the S. Mark Taper Foundation, 4 AMC grants, BMI Award, Mancini Scholarship. The Aspen Quartet is recorded by the Arditi String Quartet for Albany Records. He was awarded his PhD from UCLA. Fellowships include the Ernest Bloch Festival in Oregon, the Aspen Institute for Advanced Compositional Studies, the Schoenberg Institute, sponsored by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Mr. Goldstein has composed music used in well over 100 trailers and promos for major motion pictures and TV shows, including George Lucas' animated feature Strange Magic, Guillermo del Toro's The Book of Life, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and X-Men 3. He has taught composition, electronic music, music theory, and harpsichord at the University of California, Santa Barbara, University of California, Los Angeles, El Camino College, Scripps College, and California State University, Long Beach, Fullerton, and Los Angeles. In his program notes, he says, in setting the Lord's Prayer to music, I look up what Jesus said to his followers about how the prayer should be said. I wrote this piece while in residence at the Copeland House. I needed a New Testament to find the text. Finding at first, it says, I began to worry, but when I found this copy of the Cambridge translation of the Gospel of Matthew, right? Jesus says, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, Pray to thy Father which is in secret. Do not send a trumpet before thee. Do not pray ostentatiously with vain repetition. I was surprised at this image of the Lord's Prayer. Perhaps I had Handel's Messiah and the sound of trumpets and a huge congregation in the back of my mind. I became intrigued with the image of a man facing his God secretly in an absolutely solitary and personal way. In this piece, the style of playing, those are directions to me. Okay. So I think the only thing that I would add to that is to just say that the version of the Lord's Prayer that you're getting is the Catholic version, which ends with "Deliver us from evil," and is in Latin, not English. Voluntas tua, sicut in cielo
fabulous piece. Wonderful job. So our next piece we have is by a composer that I know for a long time, Gene Pritsker. Hey, Gene.
How you doing? What's going on, everybody?
It's going good. How you doing?
Good. Enjoying the music and the singing. Very hip, Andy. Rocking it. The baritone.
He's pretty. I was about to go New York on everybody, but maybe we should keep it for the civil for the kids.
The family show.
Gene, we've known each other for a long time, but why don't you introduce us to yourself, who you are, what you're doing, where you're located. I can say he's another New Yorker, from Manhattan, over on the east side.
Upper East, yo.
You know. Yeah.
Gang sign it. So yeah, my name is Gene Pritsker. I'm a composer. I live in Manhattan. I've written over 900 compositions. I think I'm in 980 territory. I mean, I know where I am. I just don't remember the exact number. And I run the organization Compose Concordance. I have a shirt here. We produce a lot of concerts. This year we produced 56 concerts. So composers, reach out to me. I need composers. We've premiered over 100 composers. So reach out. We premiere a lot of music, lots of concerts, lots of different eclectic concerts. Music from, it's new music because it's written today. It doesn't matter the style. So if you're writing, check me out and let's see what we can do. So about this piece, it's actually an old piece. It's from 2000 or something. No, I think it's like 2000, 2001. And it's from a song cycle called Poetic Subjects Eternal. So basically the idea of the song cycle is to have subjects, and there were 6, and we have different subjects like love, immortality, God, truth, the subjects that are eternally poets are setting and composers are setting the poet's music. And there were 6 art songs, so like for soprano and baritone, and each of the art song had a complementary hip-hop song with the rap lyrics by myself, also talking about the same subject. So the song you're going to hear called I Knew a Woman is on the subject of love, and the poem is by Theodore Rothke. I don't know, is that how you pronounce the name, Rothke? I never know how to pronounce the guy's name. You know who I'm talking about. It looks like Rothke. So and of course I had a hip hop song that was the complementary to that one. And so it's a whole cycle. So it's 12 in all. I guess I never released it, but I released a lot of the songs, especially the hip hop songs on various albums. And one of the songs made it onto a Sopranos album, the one about, I think, immortality. Actually, 2 of the songs, I take it back. 2 of the songs made it on one soprano and one another album I did with a countertenor. So these are songs that kind of I've always had. And the thing is, this one, I Knew a Woman, the guy who premiered it, Charles Coleman, who's also a great composer and baritone singer, wrote for him. So he's the only one who ever sang it. So I've never heard anybody else sing this particular song. So I'm excited to hear what Andy does with it. That's all I got, I think.
I knew a woman, lovely in her bones. When small birds sighed, she would sigh back at them. When she moved more ways than one. The shapes a bright container can contain. Of her choice, choose only, gods should speak. For English poets who grew up on Greek, I I'd have them sing in chorus, cheek to cheek, cheek to cheek. How well her wishes went, she stroked my chin, she taught me turn and counter, turn and stand. She taught me touch, that undulate white skin. I nibbled meekly from her proffered hand. She was the single, I poor-eyed the rake, coming behind her for her pretty sake. But what prodigious mowing we did make. Love like a gander and adores a goose. Her full lips pursed the errant note to seize. She played it quick, she played it light and loose. My eyes they dazzled at her flowing knees, her several parts could keep a pure repose or one hip quiver with a mobile nose. She moved in circles and those circles moved. Let's seed the grass and grass turn to hay. I am martyr to a motion not my own. What's freedom for to know eternity? I swear she cast a shadow as stone. But who would count eternity in days? These old bones live to learn her wanton ways. I measure time by how a body sways.
Awesome, Andy. Thank you. Great piece, Gene.
Thank you, Andy. Rocked it, baby. Damn.
Thank you.
Wow.
It's a fun
Good
piece.
job.
Very good.
So what do you guys think?
It's a wonderful program. Thank you so much.
Rock and roll.
Fantastic.
Thank you
Really
so
enjoyed
much.
it.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for turning in, for submitting these pieces.
Mhm.
They were very challenging, but very interesting, with much color. This particular call, we were asked soundscapes, not so much using sampled traditional instruments, but using different sounds and creating different oral environments. And I felt that these pieces were very successful, all of them very successful in doing that.
Well, what did you find difficult about these pieces?
The rhythm. Pretty much all of them had their little rhythmic challenges. But that's okay, that's what I'm here for, I can count.
Yes.
And we got-
Singers and counting. It's always
Yeah.
a thing.
I will say, Andy's he counts a lot.
You count good. You count good.
I count pretty good, yeah. For a singer, I count pretty good.
Yeah.
We got Burt online. Hi, Burt.
Hi,
Welcome.
I've been here all along.
We know.
It's spying.
We've been seeing you. You're lurking, right? You're a lurker.
I was lurking, yes, as is often the case. I wanted to say about the piece that it was written in response to a contest by Opus Dei Foundation. The year after 9/11, and there was a lot of muscular Christianity in the news with respect to the war in the Middle East. The onward Christian soldier faction predominated, and so I thought maybe tell the Opus Dei people to take it down a notch and listen to a more reflective side of the Jesus message. They didn't pick the piece, but I was satisfied that I had done my best. It was premiered as a poetry by the great Smith. And then I made the baritone and quartet version, and it just sat for a while. I don't know any baritones, and no baritones know me. And then you had this contest, and I made a version of it with the quartet, but then you said to do something outside of my comfort zone. So I had just bought a piece of software called Vast. And I thought, well, let's try this plugin. And I don't know if I overdid it, but I wanted to create a vast sense of outer space, because when I think about the belief in God, I always imagine, outer space, where you would be looking for him and perhaps finding just outer space instead. So that's all I will say at the moment. I am a little bit, you wrote me about Independence Day. This is the third day of a sleep deprivation experiment that I'm undergoing due to the fact that my neighbors have had fireworks all night long for 3 days. I don't know if they're going to vote, but they're very patriotic when it comes to exploding things. And my dog here did not understand this type of voting patriotism. I had to explain it all night, 3 nights. So I'm a little bit out of it. Maybe that's why I magically could link into you on this computer, but you couldn't see me. How could I have the wrong link? It makes no sense. Anyway, I will
Sounds
stop.
like there might be a little sleep deprivation going on.
Yeah.
Burt, where are you located?
I'm in Santa Monica,
Okay.
home of the homeless, as Harry Shearer used to call it on his radio show.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fireworks here. Maybe not as much as the past. How's it been over on the east side, Gene?
I haven't really heard nothing.
Yeah,
Except for the shit I blew up.
You had 9/11 there. You don't, you're not oriented towards more explosions, I would imagine.
wow.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Burton, you now know a baritone.
I want to thank Andrew.
And a baritone knows you.
Fantastic. I tried singing this piece myself. I also tried using auto-tune for the first time. I can't sing and I don't know how to use auto-tune. But nevertheless, Andrew hit all these notes. It's an atonal piece. I don't know how you do that. But congratulations to you and thanks very much.
And he did it with the right rhythm, too.
Well, yeah, but the notes, my God.
He's more impressed with notes than the rhythm.
Practice.
You don't have perfect pitch, do you, Andy?
No.
I got relative
Even
pitch.
less
I
perfect
need to
now.
know what I asked my son. He's got perfect pitch. My relative.
What do you say, Andy? Did he make it into space?
Did I make it into space?
Burt's piece.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
Lower orbit's good enough.
Good enough.
So, Andy, you were talking to me previously about, why don't you tell us a little bit about why he wanted to do this project. And tell us a little bit about these pieces, and how you experienced them, and what's the next thing you want to do.
Okay, so I've been experimenting with this idea of singing with a track, and you know, this comes from, as I'm teaching voice to people, you know, we just don't always have a pianist available, and having a pianist on hand all the time to play, and I'm not a good pianist myself, so being able to accompany my students in some way, I ended up subscribing to a thing called accompanist, which gives me, you know, traditional accompaniments on my phone that I can play through a Bluetooth speaker. And using this, I can accompany my students, and it's been great. But of course, for students to have to sing with a track, they've got to be very exacting about their rhythm. They can't, a live accompanist can cover up all their mistakes. So, you know, it has its challenges, it has its benefits, it has its drawbacks. But as I'm working with students with tracks and finding that in my own work, I'm not always able to have a pianist available or other ensemble if the piece calls for orchestra or calls for you know, a different ensemble. And so I've been using accompanist and other tracks myself for my own work, and just thinking, you know, these tracks could be a lot more interesting. And it becomes a genre in and of itself, the idea of singing with a track. And it makes a lot of things possible. It makes combinations of instruments that you would not ordinarily be able to put together because of, you know, like a loud instrument and a soft instrument. You can equalize those volumes out. You can have you know, a large ensemble accompanying a soft singer. You can, I mean, there's all kinds of things that you could do. And then, of course, using computerized sounds and sampled sounds and sounds from nature, altered sounds. There's all kinds of possibilities that become available when you open up the idea to creating a track. Now these, this particular call was restricted to works that create a sort of a soundscape for the track. So rather than it being like a traditional accompaniment, but I'm thinking that the next one, because a lot of people did, they submitted, you know, pieces for voice and piano with a piano track that sounds exactly like a piano. You know, you could certainly sing with it and have it, you know, and have it work in that way, in the same way I've been working with my students. But those were all ruled out. Pieces that were just, now, Burton's pieces for string quartet, however, it is, Pater Noster is very much, you know, enhanced with a lot of electronic effects. But it is written in such a way that you could do it just with a string quartet. And I would find it interesting and enjoyable to do that sometime if that was ever possible. But there again, that's always the issue. I don't happen to have a string quartet on hand, and I don't have a lot of money to pay people, so, you know, it makes a lot of things possible to be able to sing with a track. But anyhow, next time, since I ended up ruling out anything with traditional instruments, this time I'm thinking that we'll go with traditional instruments, that's what we'll be focusing on. And people can submit works for voice and traditional instrumentation, and that instrumentation needs to be realized on a track that is created with the idea that that track will be used for performance. So,
And Andy, Aaron Chang asked, do you accept audio effects that should be added to your voice?
yeah, sure. Yeah.
You'd be up for that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm up for anything, but I'm just thinking the next one that we do would be more limited to traditional songs.
Gotcha.
Andy, you guys have 8 of these now, right?
Is that how many we've done? I don't know. I haven't been counting.
I mean, from the 2 shows, right? I mean,
Yeah.
8 for baritone electronics,
Yeah.
right?
It's seven.
Oh, it was 3 last time? Oh,
Yeah.
well, then you should write one, of course, Robert. And we should, if Andy comes out to New York, we produce the concert of all these 8 live. I think it would be nice. Come out to New York.
I've
What do
been
you do?
waiting to sing Rob's music.
Well, sing Rob. You got some good shit going on.
I got some stuff.
In the
He
future,
hasn't
we can all
submitted
have a
anything
string
yet,
quartet.
but I've been wanting to sing Rob's music.
Well,
I've heard
come.
other pieces that Rob has written and I like them very much.
Well, if you could come to New York, we could set it up and we could do it if you're into playing, if you're into performing.
I am into traveling, yes.
So come on down. We got some cool. I got a cool club for this too. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be like in a classical traditional set. It would be more of in a club set, like a Rockwood or I don't know. It would be a cool club with good speakers.
And so you were thinking of Rockwood?
No, actually, I was thinking of Delancey, but Rockwood would be cool. But Delancey's got much better sound, and it's bigger, and it's got this drink I like this. They got
And Ronen's piece has a rhythm that I think we could dance to if it's in a club.
yeah, exactly. You could dance to all these pieces.
I don't know about mine. I wanted
gonna dance to yours, man.
suggestion to Andrew and Robert is would be nice for me, being a person who doesn't travel much anymore, to have a recording just of Andrew's voice, and then I could mix in and have another version where I just do my straight string quartet version, which, given what Andrew said, I'm glad I did not submit. I threw that whole recording out and I started over again with this vast plug-in and changing things. But I'd like to hear what it sounds like with playing quartet, and if Andrew's voice had been recorded just by itself, I could easily do that in my studio.
If Andy comes to New York, we'll record him in our studio here.
All right.
Come
Where
on
is it
down,
now?
Andy. Andrew
So-
X EDM, somebody said. That's nice.
And let me ask this to composers. Do you write differently if it's for live musician or you have a recorded part that's being played in the background? Doesn't matter.
I didn't write the voice part any different.
Any
Are
of
you
the composition different?
Are you saying if it's different, if you have an electronic element to your electroacoustic music, or
Like a recorded playback.
It takes me twice as long to write. A lot longer to write those pieces, but I don't know if it's any different necessarily. The composition's still the same, I think,
I
but
agree
just a
with
lot longer to produce the electronics and then write the instrumental part or the voice part.
I find using traditional notation useful for me even when writing for electronics. But yeah, it's a different medium. It offers different kind of sounds, aesthetics, also references to different cultural aspects.
I mean, the great thing about electronics is the only thing standing away is your imagination. You could really do anything you want, right? If you could imagine it, you could make it happen. And sometimes I start not from the electronics, but from what I imagined, something like, oh, how the heck do I do that? And then I have to invent it. So that for me is interesting, you know? And the piece you just heard, by the way, all the electronics you heard is written out meticulously. I call it samplestra. It's an orchestra of samples. I forgot to talk about it in my little speech. But all the electronics, it's not like just, sing along with beat. Andrew will tell you, everything is written out so the performer knows exactly where it is, and you can really follow the scores if you're following an orchestral score to the last hi-hat and beat and all that stuff. So I get a little crazy with the notation stuff because I like to notate. And electronics takes away the notation because you don't really need to, but I do. That's what I do.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun. For me.
Yes, the notation also, after the piece is done, so you might want to notate the electronic part in a way that is useful for the performer.
It is, yeah.
But the notation style has to be invented in a way because it's for your own
Sometimes.
sounds that you made.
Sometimes you have to invent exactly because you don't know how do I put this and maybe it doesn't even fit in the meter and stuff like this, so you have to invent ways of showing what's happening in the world on paper. At least I have to. I mean, you don't have to at all. But
Ed
I
did quite a
do.
bit of that. Ed did quite a bit of that in his, you have to write, oh, this part is the coffee scoop, and this part is the
Great.
the sound of the newspaper turning, and
Yeah, that's fun.
he had to invent quite a bit of notation.
Right.
But the notation, Ed, the notation that you created was very helpful for keeping together with the track.
Thank you. Well, I was going to add that, what you were saying, Gene, that's one of my favorite parts of doing these pieces. It's just figuring out how to notate it. That's kind of creative,
Right.
an additional creative layer
Absolutely.
in the composition, because it's a lot of it's untraditional notation, but you have to figure it out that just really clearly communicates it to the performer.
Because in the 20th century, you had this music concrete, right? So, and you have a lot of music concrete, with the paper, with all that, but you're notating, which is great. But those cats would just like throw it on, have like a black line going on, sing along with this until this happens, right? I mean, you've seen those scores, and I'm like, how are they together? How are they reading?
I reject those scores.
I mean, it was a style, it was a thing,
Well,
and
this
sometimes
is the
good
thing.
music,
I mean,
but
I have to be able to perform it somehow.
right, exactly.
And so, I did get quite a few scores that were, get your pitch from nowhere, just, and no real way to stay with the track.
Right.
The scores that I chose were all doable pieces. They were all pieces that, a normal baritone with normal baritone skills, like counting and, getting your pitch from someplace, because, we don't have any mechanical process by which to find a pitch. We have to hear it somehow. You have to get it from some reference that's in the acoustical environment that's being created for you. So and you can self-reference, of course,
Right.
and I'm using that quite a bit too, but nevertheless it has to be doable, and there were numerous scores where composers were writing things that just, it wasn't possible to keep that together with the track. You have no way of knowing when to start, or like sing to a stopwatch,
Yeah, the old stopwatch.
those kind of scores got rejected.
Yeah.
I really loved the way you performed my song. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you, I really
Was-
enjoyed
Me
your
as
song.
well.
And I especially appreciated your explanation. It helped me understand a little better that, the shapes of the lines were like the fire, like the shape of fire. I hadn't imagined that. But when you said that, then all of a sudden I could see, what you were thinking of.
Oh, great.
You know what I also loved? It seemed like Andy's voice fit really perfect in as a sandwich in your how you set it up with low, high. He was in the middle.
Oh, thank you so much. That was my purpose in a way. Yeah, to leave the whole space for his voice, and also some emptiness as part of the music.
Yeah. I thought it was very effective.
Thank you. Yes.
Awesome, guys. Well, I want to thank you all for being a part of this. It was a great show. Thank you, Andy, for this great project, and we love bringing you here live. And we'll look forward to seeing you again here in New York, right?
I hope so, thank you.
Come to New York. Let's do it live. Let's do it on stage, baby. Come on, man.
Awesome. That's what it's about. All right. Gene, Ed, Ronen, Burt, thank you so much for joining us. I loved your pieces, all of them. And I look forward to more and more and more.
Thank you, Andy and
Great.
Robert.
Yeah, thanks, Andy and
Thank
Rob.
you.
Congratulations, Andy. Great music, guys. Enjoyed it.
Nice to meet everybody. Great.
Yeah,
Good to
nice
see
to
you
meet you.
guys.
Hope to see you soon.
Okay.